Hi, this is Brad Beals. Today I want to walk you through the course syllabus for High School Writing 1. We'll start with the writing, the broad categories of the kind of writing that the course will cover. There are 4 types. We sometimes refer to these as modes of discourse. So these will not be the essay types. I'll do that in a later slide. But these are the 4 broad categories of essay styles or essay types. The first is descriptive. We'll be doing one essay out of the descriptive category. An essay that asks a student to describe an object, person, place, experience, emotion, situation, etc. Depending on what or who is being described, this essay may allow for reflection. Descriptive essays are often the first essay that a student will write. Early on in a writing career, you might describe grandpa, grandma, the up north cabin, even what you did over the summer can be a descriptive essay. Though that may also fall under the category of narrative essay, which is the second type. We'll be doing one narrative essay in the course. Narrative essay is an essay in which the writer tells a story. These essays are often anecdotal, experiential, and personal, allowing for expression that is often creative or moving. So when we're writing to tell a story, it's chronological. We're moving from one event to another, so we're doing transitions, thinking about paragraphs of order and how this kind of essay is put together in terms of one building block leading to another into another. So the form, the structure of a narrative essay is going to be a little bit different than a descriptive essay. We're doing 8 essays altogether, but the focus of the course really is high school and college writing, and the primary types of essays that you'll be writing in high school and college are not descriptive in narrative. Certainly you'll be doing those things, but most of really the grunt work of writing at this level is going to fall in these other 2 categories. Persuasive or argumentative writing. This is an essay in which the writer presents a topic or issue, takes a position, and argues with evidence to persuade the reader to his or her position. Now the ACT essay, the 30-minute 5 or 3-part essay that is required for the ACT is a kind of persuasive essay. It's a very narrow, a very strictly defined type of essay because of the time constraint. But that's one type of essay. The 4th category, expository writing. This is writing in which the student presents, explores, and expounds on an idea. The object is to set forth an argument about the idea and prove it. Research papers tend to fall into this category. So these last 2, persuasive and expository, this will be the bulk of the work. We've got 3 weeks set aside for the persuasive essays, 4 weeks set aside for the expository essays. Now, these 4 categories, we want to be careful not to be too dogmatic about having these separate categories. Not everybody agrees that these are exactly the 4 different types of essay styles, but we need some way to organize it, so this is the way that I've done it. So in the next slide we're going to look at specific types of essays that fall under these categories. Some teachers might place, for example, the comparative contrast essay differently than I do. I've got it under persuasive. Some might call it expository. The first essay that we look at is one by Annie Dillard. It's actually going to be sort of a cross between a descriptive and a narrative essay. And when we look at it, we'll see the elements of both. So don't get too hung up on these 4 categories. In fact, after we talk about this right now, you can pretty much put this behind you, because from here on out, it's going to be the nuts and bolts of specific essays. And when you're in the course and you're writing a literary analysis, for example, you're not going to be worrying about whether or not it's a persuasive or an expository essay so much. But this is kind of a framework to think about how different essays are categorized by the jobs that they do. Okay, so let's do that. Let's look at the 8 different kinds of essays just real quickly. Descriptive, and this will follow the same order that we did in the previous slide. We'll be writing an essay on a significant person, place, or object. The description is obvious. You're going to be looking at close description, and your idea is to communicate to the reader what is most significant about this person, place, or object. But when you talk about significance, you're going to bring in a lot of other kinds of writing, and sometimes this essay can be called a reflective essay or a personal narrative or personal reflection. Same goes for the narrative essay. In this case, it will be a significant experience. So a lot of writing skills will will sort of overlap in these two essay types. And it's more about the focus of the topic, the subject matter, than anything else. We're talking about significance. There will involve reflection. The first will focus on a concrete thing, the second on an experience. Okay, now the hard writing comes up. Persuasive. We're going to be doing 3 different persuasive type of essays. Number 1, a comparison contrast essay. 2, an editorial. 3, a book or film review. That one actually I think will be fun to write. And that'll be 3 weeks. The last 4 weeks of the class will focus on these 3 essays. The first one, the literary analysis, will cover 2 weeks. We need more time on that than any. This is probably this will be your bread and butter type of writing in college, especially if you go the liberal arts route, where you're doing a lot of, you're reading fiction, you're reading poetry, and you're having to turn what you are reading and what you're learning in class into an analysis piece. Your AP type courses, your advanced high school level courses like British literature, American literature, and AP English are going to be primarily literary analysis kinds of writing. So we'll spend 2 weeks on that. We'll spend a week on definition, classification essay, and then the final week on a process analysis essay, in which you'll actually analyze a process that you're familiar with. It'll make a lot more sense later. I'll fill it out for you. You don't need to know too many details right now. Okay, the format of the class. As you probably know, this is an online class, and it is entirely online and recorded. So there's not a set time where we're going to meet in a Skype type setting. Everything's pre-recorded, much like this PowerPoint video is right now. On Monday of each week, check the blog. There's the blog. There you'll find the week's assignments, due dates, and any links or videos you'll need to access. So that's the key day, is Monday. That'll sort of set you up for the rest of the week. All work will be turned in electronically as an email attachment to my email. Feedback on your writing will be embedded in the document and returned as an attachment, meaning I will give you feedback right in your document. I'll save it and send it back to you. So when you're reading it, you've got my comments right where it's relevant in your paper. Revisions will happen the same way. It'll be electronic. So everything will just go back and forth between us, depending on how many different drafts we're doing on a particular essay. So we may take the same draft or the same essay and pass it back and forth between us 3 or 4 times before we get it where we want it. You may email me anytime with questions, though I may not get back to you until later in the day. I do have a day job. I'm a high school teacher, so after 2:40 I'm free, and that's usually when I try to take care of business. So typically it'd be in the afternoon, unless I've got something else going on. But I will get back with you on that day. I'm usually pretty quick. Grading. Primarily, your grade is going to be based on your essay drafts. 75% of the overall grade. First and second drafts of each essay will receive a grade based on overall effectiveness, based on the criteria that I give you for that particular draft. So a rough draft can be rough. It needs to meet a word minimum. It needs to have some basic organization. If you get that done, you're probably going to get full credit. It gets a little bit harder as each draft comes along, because the requirements are going to be tighter, and you're going to be having to include more of what I'm asking you to do, and then the final draft needs to be final draft quality. So there's just more things to consider as the drafts progress. Final drafts will receive 2 grades. One that separates out grammar, usage, and mechanics. That's sort of the typical English kind of grade. And a second that reflects the content and style of the writing. Each grade is up to 50 points. So a typical essay would be graded as follows. And this would be a 3-draft essay, first, second, and final draft. First draft 50 points, second draft 50 points, final draft 100 points. That's a total of 200 points, half of which are for the final draft. So there is a little bit more emphasis on the final draft because you've got those 2 50-point grades. The second part of your grade is daily work, and that's 25%. All other assignments fall under this category. Grading will vary assignment to assignment. So anything other than the specific essay drafts, pre-writing assignments, grammar exercises that I'm asking you to do, all of that will fall under daily work, 25%. Late work. This is a high school course. Next stop is college. Due dates are real. 10% will be deducted from any assignment turned in beyond its due date or time. An additional 10% will be deducted for each day it's late. So if an essay is due at midnight and I don't receive it until 12:30 a.m., it's considered late. If you can let me know in advance that you won't be able to complete an assignment, I can probably work with you. But if it's after the fact, I probably am not going to be able to work with you. So you need to kind of look ahead, figure out your schedule. You know you've got a soccer tournament and you're working the projector on Sunday, then you might need an extra day, and that's fine. I don't have a problem giving extra time, but it needs to be planned out ahead of time. Work not turned in earns a 0. Now, I'm making this a point because you may think that, well, an E is an E, so why finish the work? Well, an E is not an E. If you've got an essay that's 5 days late, that's 5% or 10% off each day, so that's still potentially, you could earn 50% of your points if you write a good essay. If it's not turned in at all, that's 0 points, and this will be a cumulative grade, so the points just all go into the same bucket, and then the point total, the percentage out of that total determines what your grade is. So just because you've missed or you know you're in the E range, that doesn't mean you need to give up on it. So get your work done, get it turned in. Grading criteria, or the grading breakdown, in terms of letter grades are pretty traditional. The A is 95 to 100, A minus 90 to 94, and then the rest of the grades follow the same kind of format. There they are, all the way down to D minus. We don't need to go any lower than that, right? Okay, if you need to contact me, we've got a few ways to do that. Email is best. There's my phone, it's my cell phone. Again, I teach till 2:40, so feel free to call, leave a message, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way and do something through the mail, that's fine too. There's my address. This blog is what you'll check in every Monday, and that's where the links will be posted. If there's a video I want you to watch, like I said before, it'll be on this blog. Now, I do have a separate blog which has the course description, so if you're looking at this over the summer to determine what exactly is High School Writing 1, this is where you would have gone. I like WordPress. It looks a little bit better. It looks nicer, I think, than Blogger. Blogger is a little bit easier to get in and out of, I think, so I do use both of them.